So I need you to hear this, right? It's nothing so exciting and you're like, wow, I can't wait to ask my patients to send me people. It's not exciting like that, but it works. It always has, and it always will. So if you build this habit of asking them for referrals and asking them for reviews, it will change your practice forever. I know that there are challenging times in healthcare. I know that we're being devalued in the healthcare space. I know that the insurance reimbursements are decreasing. I know that, yes, that, the cost of delivering the services that we do has increased. I know that it's harder than it's been to find people. I know all of that. But if we come with that energy, we're not going to win, right? So in the midst of all of this, people are still winning. And we're here to figure out what is the way, what is the yellow brick road, what is the pathway for us to win even in the challenging times. We were never promised times that won't be tough. But what do they say? When times get tough, the tough get going. We are the people who are tough. Okay, so I don't want you to be cynical. I also don't want you to be in fantasy land, okay? I was in fantasy land when I started my private practice. I was like, I will hang the shingle and they will come. I hung that shingle. They did not come. Okay, so there is work required. There are challenges. We can rise above them, but there is work involved. And that's the work we're going to talk about. So I want you to approach this with an open mind. I want you to approach this like I'm in it to win it. I want you to approach this going like, how can I win? Right? I don't want to be a naysayer anymore. I don't want to play the victim anymore. I don't want to just roll over and play dead, allow whatever happened. But how can I win? Right? Like that's the attitude. And then also you recognize that there's work to be done and you're going to do the work, right? You're going to do the work. If we approach it this way, this time that we have together is going to be so powerful. The team and I did a lot of work to make this a very simple, so you can walk away and go apply them, like starting today. You can start texting your team and say, okay, this is what we're doing starting tomorrow. That's what we want you to have. So don't be confused by the simplicity of it, okay? It's simple, but it's very profound, okay? Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Dr. Una. I'm a pediatrician. I have been in private practice for the last 14 years. Private practice has made a lot of things possible for me. I've been able to impact my community in a way that I didn't think I would be able to. I homeschool my 4 kids, which is something I really wanted to do, right? And, process of building a team and all that, I bought my time back to be able to do that. So I homeschool them. If I can have a mommy moment for 5 seconds, my daughter just graduated from high school on Thursday or Friday. I don't remember what day it was. But she finished all her coursework for that. And she's going to be 17 next year. She just went ahead and did all the things she wanted to do, which is so much fun. That's what I've been able to do. And the truth of the matter is I want that for every physician. I want you to be able to build a practice, allows you to take care of patients the way they deserve to be cared for, allow you to have a very huge impact to your community, create financial freedom, create time freedom. Okay. Now, is there work involved? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it available? Yes. So the question I want to ask you, and please indulge me, answer me in the chat, who wants it? Who is like, okay, I want to learn a different way of doing things. I want to learn the strategic way of doing things so I can have that, right? Let me know in the chat. Who's like, I want that. I want that. I want the impact. I want the financial freedom. I want the time freedom. And so we're going to walk through those things. So we're going to talk about some things and you're like, I'm not sure I want to do that. Now remember the dream. Okay. So remember the dream. The question becomes, is the dream motivating enough for me to want to do that? Okay. All right. So let's kind of get into this. Today, we're going to look at how to fill your schedule in 90 days or less so that way you are in control of your revenue. Okay. We're not just like, oh, I don't know. Schedule's kind of light. Schedule's kind of busy. We want to be in control. So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. But today, how to fill your schedule in 90 days or less. Who wants more patients on their schedule? Let's talk about this here. Okay. Why is it important for us to have this? This is how we create our revenue. Okay. So we want the patients on there so we can care for them and so we can get paid, right? That's why the practice is there. So I'm going to show you 3 things. They're going to be very simple. How many of you hope that I don't say anything about social media? Be honest. Here's the deal. I'm going to talk about 3 things. And today, I'm not going to say a single thing about social media. I'm not going to say a single thing about social media. So you cannot complain about anything I tell you because I have given you what you want. Okay. You don't want to hear about social media. I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about 3 things that can fill your schedule up in 90 days or less. So I'm going to tell you 3 things. And there are 3 things that work. And I'm not going to mention social media. Number one, Number one is to build a referral base. Okay. Number one is to build a referral base. A referral base is one of the most magical things you can do for your private practice. Okay. I'm going to tell you how you can do it, how you can build all of this. I'll tell you, but you got to buy the idea first. You got to build a referral base. You have to have a base of people. It could be 3 people, 6 people, 9 people, 12 people. But the more you have, the more the more stable your practice will be, right? The bigger it is. One is too dangerous a number in business. One referral source. And you're like, oh yeah, we're busy. We've been great. We have word of mouth. And then we have this one referral source. But anything can happen to that one referral source. Somebody else could buy the practice. The practice could go out of business. Another doctor may come in and decide, I no longer refer to this person. Like, one is a dangerous number. Okay. So you build a referral base, it will change your business. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. Now, when I started my private practice, I self-funded my practice. So which means I had a job and I used the job to pay the bills of the practice so the practice could pay for itself. And so one of the places I worked at, it was a pediatrician, and she went from zero patients, to so fully booked that she needed another physician in 6 months. I want you to think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was like, this is absolutely nuts. I've been around the block long enough to know that this is not the way things work. And so I started having conversations with her and observing, and I found out that she had 3 friends who were OBGYNs. And so the second she set up shop, 3 of them were like, we got you. And they just sent all their babies there, right? Now, you may not have 3 referral sources who are your friends you went to college with, but you can create those relationships. What I'm trying to tell you is that 3 referral sources took her business from 0 to fully booked, month-long wait times that she had to hire another physician within 6 months. Now, that is something that is magical, beautiful, leads to a very stable business. She can bring on more people, bring on people to work less, and all of that stuff. And it was just amazing, and she's been busy ever since, right? That's the power of 3 referral sources, just 3. Okay. Now, when I was actively seeing patients, I had a physical therapist who came to my office, younger, probably early 30s or something like that. And she's like, this is who I am. And I just started a practice over here and all of that stuff. I think she was even pregnant. And I looked at her, I looked at her reviews and all of that stuff. And I said, you know what? I could remember starting a private practice, not having any patients, not having people like really, not like they were mad or anything, but really believe in what I was doing and all of that stuff. I still remember the first day we saw 5 patients. You couldn't tell me nothing. Like, we were the busiest practice in town as far as I was concerned. I remembered all those days, right? So I was thinking, I was like, wow, she's going through that. So I looked at her, I said, you know what? I'm going to get you busy. I want you to understand the power that a referral source had. I was like, I'm going to get you busy. And she probably looked at me like, okay, fine. I was like, good. So give me your cards, all of that stuff. I went to my front desk. I told them, we have a wait time for physical therapy. Anyway, this is the person we send our patients to now. And it was a few months before, when we'd send patients to her, her office would say, okay, our next available is a month from now, when they could get our people in next day or the day after that. So we got her really busy. That's the power of one referral source saying yes. Just one referral source. So the question I have for you is, are you committed enough to your success that you're willing to embrace the discomfort of building a referral base? Are you committed enough to your own success that you're like, yeah, I know it's a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it because, my goodness, if I get 1 referral source, what would that do? 2, 3, what would 3 referral sources do for me? Right? We tell the story a lot like we had a doc in the EntreMD business school who had worked with, trying to get a referral source on board because it was a big orthopedic surgery practice and she was a weight loss doctor. And she went to them for 11 months. I want you to sink in. Of course, she was working other angles, but this particular one for 11 months. Right? To which you might go like, oh, Dr. Lula, your stories were so nice till you started telling me about this 11-month thing. That's a really long time. But this is the deal, right? When she eventually got in to see them, They were like, oh my goodness, we've been looking for someone like you, da-di-da-di-da. Yes, we'll send all our patients to you. She thought there were 19 doctors and nurse practitioners and stuff in the practice. It was 42 of them. I don't remember, some really ridiculous number. And she started to where she was getting 5 to 7 new patients a day. It was 42. Yes. It was so ridiculous. I was like, is that right? Was it 24? No, it's 42. 5 to 7 new patients every single day. So the question, like, if you follow up somebody long enough, that's what would happen. Would you follow them long enough? I mean, the answer is yes, yes, yes. Yes, every day and twice on Sunday, right? And so, yes, referral sources, it takes a minute, right? But it works. And it works really well and it works really long. Okay? So, okay, Dr. Una, I hear you. All right. Referral sources. What do I do? So I'm going to give you, what do I have? I'm going to give you 6 ways to make contact because it's about relationship building, right? What are the different ways I can make contact with my referral sources? So 1, it could be meet and greets. You go to the office, you stop by, you ask to see the doctor, you ask to see the office manager. Never ignore the front desk because sometimes they're the people that are sending the people to the people anyway. But you go start building relationships. You will hear a lot of no's and it's okay. You're going to hear a lot of no's, but you're going to hear enough yeses to turn your business around. Okay. So we're not thrown off by no's. We don't get bent out of shape by no's. We just roll with it, right? When we hear the no's, we just know, okay, I'm closer to a yes. Okay. So your meet and greet would be 1. Okay. You can email them. Many websites, they have their email information and stuff like that. And when I say you, I hope you understand, I mean you, your team, right? It's not just you. It's like your business, your practice, your company is doing this, right? You can email. And you're like, this is who I am, email introduction. You can have the template already done. So you're really doing just editing like a paragraph or whatever and sending those off. Because what are you trying to do? I'm trying to do the work so I can get to the point where there are at least 3 people that are sending me people. Because if 3 people know me, like me, trust me, they could get me busy. Okay. So you can email them. We've done this a lot in our practice. You can fax. You can have like a standard fax with why your practice, right? Don't say expert medical care. Don't say compassion. Nobody cares about that. Like if the problem, like for your practice, that what you do, if the problem is people can't get in to see doctors like you, then you put like next day appointments, right? Like figure out what the pain of your referral source is and address that. But you can have faxes. So I'm peds, right? I can have the fax numbers of all the OBGYNs in the area. And then once a month or once every other month, I just fax and like, this is who we are. We're here to take care of your babies, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for your referrals. That's something you can do. You can call them. Get on the phone. Hey, this is Dr. Who, I know your practice is new or I'm new here and all of that stuff. Just wanted to let you know what I do. I'd love for us to meet and all of that. You can do that. Nothing's going to go wrong. You can do that. You can attend events where they are. So for instance, I'm a pediatrician. If an OBGYN with 10 OBGYN practice with 10 OBGYNs is doing an open house, where do you think I'm going to be? I'm going to be at the open house. To meet with them, to connect with them, if you go to the hospital, there's a physician's lounge, go there. And if you're an introvert, where are my cousins who are introverts? Even if you're an introvert, this is a trick. You walk in there, nobody knows you're nervous. Nobody knows you're scared. Dr. Johnson, like, hi there. Nobody knows any of that. You walk in and you brace yourself, right? And you're like, okay, I have, I'm going to be here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, and go introduce yourself to people, right? Well, we got to start. We're introverts and we can still win. We can still win in business. Okay. And then this is like a granddaddy strategy. Connect with connectors. There are people, you know them. There are people who know everybody. Oh, I know this doctor, that doctor. I went to school with that doctor. That person, that doctor is my friend's cousin's auntie's uncle. And like all that kind of stuff. You connect to those people because it's a shortcut. Because you're connected to them, they can connect you to everybody else. Yeah, you don't have to be the person, right? Dr. Johnson's like, I know people like that, but it isn't me. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be you. But the deal is you can then connect with that person and that person could connect you with all the other people. So when you meet people like that, they're your new best friends because they know everybody. especially if you're an introvert, right? Build a referral base. Now, this is the thing about the referral base, okay? The money's in the follow-up. Chances are the first time you guys meet, nothing magical is going to happen. The money's in the follow-up. It's in the follow-up. It's in the follow-up. So we continue until. That's what we do. We build a relationship. We keep the open loop. We keep the conversation going until, okay? So the money's in the follow-up. And this means that there are three things that you must have down pat. One is you understand with the referral base, I got to do the volume. I got to do the volume. There's no way around the volume. I got to do the volume. Okay. I got to do the volume. I have to be consistent and I have to be strategic. Okay. I have to do the volume. So I do enough of it. I have to do it consistently. And then I have to be strategic. Okay. This is usually where things get dropped. So this is where the strategy piece comes in, right? The people who pay cash understand the people who pay cash. The people who take cash understand the people who take cash. So when you're thinking about who to talk to build a referral base, if you are a cash-based practice or direct specialty care, you want to start looking for practices that are direct primary care, are concierge, right? Or they're paying cash for certain kinds of services because they get it. So it doesn't mean you don't talk to like Gen Peds insurance based at all, but you're going to prioritize those ones because they get it. You don't have to explain to them what direct primary care is. They get it. The other group you want to think about is the places where it's kind of hard for them to see a specialist like you. And so people are waiting 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to be seen. And so even though you're cash and they don't get it, they're like, yeah, go there. She can see you next week or he can see you next week. You have to pay, but you can see him next week, right? So you look for that. And so all referral sources are not equal. There's strategy to it, right? So think volume, think consistency, think strategy. These are three things that you have to think about when you're working your referral sources, okay? Your referral base. Those are the three things: volume, consistency, and strategy, okay? Okay. So that's number one. And we are making good progress. I love this. Number two is your hidden visits. Okay. Your hidden visits. We always have access to more resources than we're aware of. We just don't know. Okay. And so today we're going to unlock some hidden visits that are just staring you in the face that you don't know about, right? Okay. So if you're an insurance-based private practice, and you're paid per visit, right? You're paid per visit. And your practice has been around for longer than 3 years. Chances are, like 97% chances are that you have tons and tons and tons of people in your database who are overdue for appointments. And they're not going to make those appointments till somebody in your office calls them and says, hey, Miss Smith, it seems you're overdue for your annual checkup. Dr. Steven can see you on Tuesday at 10 o'clock or Friday at 3 p.m. so we can catch you up. Which of those times work for you? If you would do just that, you can fill up your schedule. And the older your practice is, the more you can fill your schedule using this strategy, right? There are so many people in your database right now that even if you did not acquire a new patient, you could probably fill up your schedule. Okay. Now, if you're direct, and I want to kind of apply this here a little bit, if you're, like cash-based, so direct primary care, specialty care, concierge, and all of those things, it may not necessarily be, you're not per visit in that kind of way, but it may be that you have a ton of people who they just decided they weren't going to do that anymore, or their card declined one time and they kind of, fell off and stuff like that. You have a ton of people you can follow up with. And if you follow up with them, a percentage of them are going to come back. You can fill up your panel. You can fill up your schedule with the hidden visits and the hidden patients that exist in your database right now. Your database is gold. You hear in the corporate world, you hear them talk about big data, big data, big data. Okay, your data may not be as big as theirs, but it's big enough to keep you profitable. Okay? Now, when the pandemic hit in 2020, if you remember, like back when people were like, what's a coronavirus? Like that early, like when we were there, And, sometimes we call patients, they're like, how is it out there? I'm like, what do you mean out there? Like we're some war-torn country. Like, what do you mean out there? Right? And people no longer wanted to come into the office and do all of those things. Hybrid practices were dropping like flies, right? And this was the strategy that we used in 2020. And 2020, we did better in 2020 than 2019. We had more patient visits. We brought in more revenue in 2020 than we did in 2019. Same with 2021, right? And what was the strategy? We just pulled out the entire database and one after the other. We're just going. Now, the principles of your volume, your consistency, and strategy still apply here. So I'll tell you some funny things that we did. Like, for instance, when we started, you're talking about a database of thousands of patients. And so we would look for the parents with 3 or more children, right? Because for everyone you get 3 or more visits as opposed to 1 visit. Again, what is that? It's just strategy, right? It's just strategy. But the idea is this: you have so many patient visits, aka so many dollars sitting in your database right now. There was a doc, and this doc is in the EntreMD business school, and he said he decided to work this strategy. And he had his team calling every day. And I think they were making like 30 calls a day between 3 or 4 VAs or whatever. I was like, dude, we need volume. Like, we need volume on that. And I think they switched that. I went to up to 30 calls a day per VA. And he went from having holes in his schedule to being booked out for 2 weeks within a matter of weeks. So going from a schedule that was not full to a schedule that was so full that for his practice, it would take 2 weeks for you to get in. How did he do that? By doing the recaller. Okay. This is a simple thing. You pull up the report. You're going to have to coach your team on it because they'll also like roll their eyes. Like, what is this? If it's not something you already do. But I am telling you, there are hundreds of visits, for some people, thousands of visits sitting in that database. So yes, the insurance, reimbursements are declared. Yes, it's hard to find. Yes, all of that. And you got all this money sitting in your database. And as a doctor, is good care, right? Like, we don't want people going on without their checkups. We don't want the person who's hypertensive, we haven't seen in a year. Like, what medications are they taking, right? So this is what we want to do, okay? We're talking about how to fill up your schedule in 90 days or less. So we've already talked about the referral base. And now we're talking about the hidden visits. These are things that they're not funky, they're not cool, they're not all shiny and bright, but they work. They really work. They've always worked. They'll continue to work. These are timeless principles of business. Okay. So we want to do that. We want to hit the recall. We want to find all the visits that are sitting in our database. Okay. We have the database for a reason. If you tell somebody who wants to sell something to your patients that you would give them your database, they know it's gold. So please know that your database is gold. Your database is gold. Okay. All right. Now, same principles apply. We know to do this, we need to throw the volume behind it, right? So remember, I'm telling you, the doctor, they were making, 4 people were making 30 calls a day. And they switched that, and 4 of them started making 30 calls each, and everything changed. You need the volume. You need the consistency. So we don't hit the recaller when our schedule is light. We just hit it. That's what we do. Okay. So you need the volume. You need the consistency, and you need the strategy. Okay? The strategy. All kinds of strategies with that. I give you an example, like for Peds, like what we did. Some people would do it based on highest payer to lowest payer. Like because if it's 1,000 people, 2,000 people, you're not going to hit all of them at once, right? And they would do that. So there's so many different things you can do. Okay? Now, when you think about building a referral base and going after the hidden visits in your practice, what do you think on a scale of 1 to 10, how big do you think the impact will be on your schedule if you do these 2 things? We can proactively fill up our schedules. We don't have to sing the same song other people are singing. All right, let's do number 3. Number 3, Again, one of my favorites. And the introverts are going to go like, oh my goodness, Dr. Una, stop talking about this. But I'm an introvert. I'm with you. Okay. All right. So this is unlocking your second generation patients. How many of you have patients that love you and they've told you to your face, you've changed my life, you've changed my world, or they've left you a 5-star review, or, they've told you I've been to 5 doctors and nobody could figure it out, but you figured it out. Like, how many of you have had that? How many of you have had that? Your patients that know, like, and trust you are the source for more patients that will know, like, and trust you. Right? Like, okay, I'm not saying your patients are these things, but I want to give you a word picture that you won't forget. Okay? Now, when you think about your patients, you can either see your patients as fruit. You eat a fruit once, it's gone. Or you can see your patient like a tree that produces fruit after fruit after fruit after fruit. The patients who love you and trust you, they're like trees. And they will give you many more patients if you ask. So when somebody tells you, oh my goodness, you are the 4th doctor I've seen for this thing, and you're the only person who could fix this, I want to give you the translation, okay? I want to give you the profitable private practice owner translation. And that translation is, oh my goodness, doc, please ask me for a referral. Ask me for a referral. Ask me for a review. Ask me for whatever you need for me to put your name out there and let people know how amazing you are. That is literally what they're telling you. That's what they're telling you. Because this is the deal. If you have 1,000 patients and a quarter of them decide to send you 1 patient, you acquired 250 new patients. Who will be mad about 250 new patients? Not me, right? But if you don't ask, the thing is, everybody is thinking about themselves. Well, 99% of people are thinking about themselves all the time. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about your business. They're not thinking about making your practice profitable. They're not thinking about making your practice sustainable. They're not thinking about any of that. They're thinking about themselves. And so the only way for you to get them to stop and go around and go invite people and tell people about you and text people about your office and all of that stuff, you got to ask them. But if you ask them, they know enough. If everybody brought 1 person, think about what that would do. So I need you to hear this, right? Again, it's nothing so exciting and you're like, wow, I can't wait to ask my patients to send me people. It's not exciting like that, but it works. It always has, and it always will, right? So if you build this habit of asking them for referrals and asking them for reviews, it will change your practice forever. I didn't know the power of reviews till I started making it a thing and going after it. And then I would ask people, new patients, when they come, how did you find out about us? Oh, I was just looking for your pediatrician in the area and I saw your reviews and I came. And the first time I heard it, I was like, okay. And then the second time and the third time and the fourth time, like people pay attention to that stuff, right? So when people are like, you're amazing, ask them for some, okay? You can ask them for a referral. You can ask them for a review, but either of those two will create more patients. And please understand me, right? If people come into your office and they see that you're seeing a lot of patients, they will do you a favor by not referring people to you. They're just like, oh my goodness, this doctor is so busy. So their friends will say, do you know a doctor that does XYZ? They're like, yeah, but my doctor, she's fully booked. So, so find another doctor. And I'm not making this up. I've had people, like I had a patient go like, oh, Dr. Una, I had a friend, she really needs a pediatrician like you. But I know you're so busy and you're not accepting new patients. So I sent her wherever. I was like, what in the world made you think I'm not accepting new patients? That's the assumption that they have. You have to interrupt them by asking. The reason why we build multiple streams of patients is because there will be times when certain ones dry up, or there'll be some times that, things work really well with one and sometimes when they don't, right? The reason why we have so many things going on at the same time is no matter what happens, we still win, right? We still win. And yeah, so you may say as a specialist, it's tougher than primary care, but you'll be surprised that it's not because there are other challenges. But the thing is that these three things work. These three things work. Okay. So again, for these three things is the volume of it. We got to do it. And we got to do it like we have to have the right volume of it. If we're asking for referrals once a week, this is not going to work. If we're asking for reviews once in a while, this is not going to work. Right. So it's the volume of it. It's the consistency of it, and it is the strategy of it, right? It is these three things. So what I want to do now is, I know that we can know what to do, but sometimes we're not able to do enough of it. We're not able to do it consistently enough, and we're not able to do it strategically enough, okay? So I want to show you something that is such a game changer. It's going to be such a game changer for physicians everywhere. For everyone here, I've told you about my secret desire, which is no longer a secret. I want you to be able to build a profitable practice. I want you to build a practice that allows you to have a huge impact, the practice that allows you to create profit and live life on your terms, okay? We have paid too much of a price as physicians to not have the life that we want, okay? Picture to the right is that's a picture of my 4 kids are by the ocean, who I get the privilege of homeschooling. And for me, that is something that is so important because, I coach a lot of people. I train a lot of people. I mentor a lot of people. And I was like, I want them to have the best coaching I ever gave to anybody to be the coaching that I gave my kids and help them to thrive as adults and live life on their terms and defy the odds early and all of that stuff, right? And so for me, that's living life on my terms. I don't know what living life on your terms is for you, right? But I want you to be able to build a practice that makes that possible, okay? All right. And this is a problem here, and I just want us to look through this, right? So are we denying the problem? No. Do we have the shrinking reimbursements? We know that. We have the growing overhead. We know that. There's the stress and the burnout. And for many people, private practice does feel like a treadmill instead of the freedom, right? It feels like a treadmill. We know that that's there. We know that's what's happening. And when we look at the numbers and the state of things, the reality is, which we can walk away, in EntreMD, we create alternate realities. But the reality is that more than 50% of private practices are no longer physician-owned. They're no longer physician-owned. And the bulk of those that are not physician-owned are owned by private equity. Not even hospitals is private equity, right? And that's a challenge. That's a challenge on its own. We know that, time, autonomy, and profits are slipping away where the overhead is higher, so the profit margins are thinner. The insurance companies are doing what they do and all of that. And people are doing the work, but the profits keep shrinking. And this is a problem that we've come to solve. But this is the reality. This is the reality of so many, right? And it kind of makes us make this face this lady is making over here. But this is what I've done. This is what so many of my clients have done. This is what my dream for you is, that you're able to build a dream practice. And what is that? It's a practice where, you serve your patients with excellence, which is what at our core as physicians, that's what we want to do. We serve our patients with excellence. Then you want a practice that supports work-life balance. Your word may be work-life harmony. Your word may be work-life integration. Your word may be like it's none of that. But at the bottom line, at the end of the day, you want to have a dream business and a dream life, right? That's the way we say it in EntreMD, where you're able to do what you want to do with your practice in the lives of your patients, which is a win for the patients. But you also wanted to create what you want for your life. And that's what makes it a win-win situation. That's when you actually enjoy what you do, because it's not one-sided where one person is winning and the other person is not, right? And a private practice at the end of the day is a business, and we wanted to provide financial security. You take a lot of risk to start a practice. You take a lot of hours away from your family to start a practice. If you're going to do that, you want to do it in a way that you have financial security. Okay. So this is what we came up with. And the team and I are so excited because we have looked for a way, like what is the simplest way we can support private practice owners, especially in 2025, because 2025 I've been saying this for about 3 years now. That's going to be the year of the physician, where things are going to turn in our favor, where, running a practice that allows you to live life and practice medicine on your terms becomes the norm. It's no longer the exception, right? And so this is the profitable private practice movement. And I'll tell you what it's about. It's very simple. It doesn't cover everything with a private practice, but it does cover the things that are required for you to have a lot of impact, for you to create that financial freedom, and for you to live life on your terms. So think about how to fill a patient panel. Like today, we talked about 3 of the things, but we have 7 of the things, right? And you can have all these things firing at the same time. How do I fill up my panel? That may be you because, you're not yet at full capacity. Maybe you're earlier in your practice, or maybe that's you because you started bringing on multiple doctors and all of that. And, like your schedule is full and your wait list is long, but their schedule is not full. How do I do that, right? How to fill your patient panel. The second thing is the collection practices that maximize revenue. So whether that's collections, your coding, all of those things, what happens at your front desk, what happens with your biller, all of those things to make sure that you're actually being paid for the work that you do, because the amount of money that we leave on the table as private practice owners is obscene. It's an obscene amount of money that is left on the table. And I have done audits for private practices. I have worked with a ton of people. It is an obscene amount of money. Okay. And then this puts you in a position where you can maximize that. The third thing is optimizing your team for efficiency and profits. Again, this is something we run away from leading the team. We don't know how to define how each role creates revenue so that the more team members you bring on, the more revenue and profits you make, as opposed to your profits shrinking because you're bringing on team members, where you look at your payroll and you're no longer breaking out in a cold sweat because it's no longer an expense. You're very clear that this is an investment, right? Okay. Then the revenue cycle monitoring, okay? Amazing thing. Many people don't meet with their billers. They don't understand any of the reports. They don't hold their billers accountable, and billers are happy to tell them, oh, don't worry about it. Everything is going good. You don't need anything. And as long as there's money in the bank account, we just keep going. Business is serious business. We can't do that anymore. And this is another thing you're going to master, how to monitor your revenue cycle. And then the fifth thing really is wealth creation systems. Like, okay, you created the profit, but again, the profit is like with fruit. How do you convert it into a tree? Where's the gift that keeps giving? There are 1 million things. Yes, of course, there are a million things. But what if you mastered these 5? You understand how to fill your schedule. You understand how to get paid for what you do. You understand how to unlock your team for profits. You can monitor your billing cycle, and you understand how to convert that to wealth. I just imagine doing that. If these are the things that you master. So it's not everything, but if we had 100,000 private practice owners, and don't be scared by the number, there are 123,000 primary care practices alone in the United States, right? But if we had 100,000, private practice owners who understood these things, we will be in a completely different state. Healthcare will be in a completely different state. So this is what we decided to take on, right? So these are the things that you would master, okay? And it's a very simple framework, right? So once a month, you have a strategic session, and that could be on filling the panel. It could be on revenue cycle monitoring. It could be on any of those things once a month, okay? Once a month, you have a masterclass with a private practice owner who is running a private practice, generating over $1 million in revenue. Okay. So with somebody who's been there, done that, has 72,000 t-shirts, and is willing to spill the beans. Okay. So that's the second thing. So that's 2 weeks out of the month. And then the other 2 weeks are for co-working sessions. Why? Because we know how to learn, right? There are many things we know how to do, but we're not doing it. And these are the things that put us in a position where we have positive peer pressure. Every week we're coming together, working on our practices to move them forward. Okay. So every month there's a strategic session. There's a monthly masterclass with a private practice owner doing over $1 million in revenue. There are 2 co-working sessions where we're not there to talk. You're just there to work. Okay. You're there to work and get the work done. And then tools to simplify implementation, whether those are templates, scripts, and all these things that you can use For instance, building your referral base or the template for a meeting with your biller, all of those kind of things. We're just tools to simplify it. But again, we're not focusing on every part of private practice. We're focusing on these 5 things so you can put yourself in a position where you're profitable, so you can start creating time for yourself, and then you can go after all the other things that you need to learn, right? Because we have a lot of things to learn. Okay. So this right here, again, the idea is you unlock your profits, you multiply your impact, you start living life on your terms, which this is what we want. Yeah, Dr. Anderson, I have to unlock my team for profits. Yes, that would be such a game changer. Such a game changer if you can pull that off. Okay? Such a game changer. A number of people here, they're at EBS, they're doing it. They'll tell you it's wild when you do that. Okay. So let's talk investment here. Okay. Now, when I work with my clients, okay, $30,000 is kind of what they pay for stuff like this for the year. Okay. But this is the deal. The team and I, this is why we're so excited about this. This is not something that you're going to pay $30,000 for. And this really is not even something that you're going to pay a third of $30,000 for. Okay. This is what you pay. And at this point, I'm just like waiting for the emojis to come out. I'm waiting for people to say, are you kidding me, Dr. Una? Like, what just happened? What am I witnessing? You're witnessing history. Okay. It's like don't worry about social media. This is the deal. Okay. What is this? You're coming together once a week, Thursday at 12 noon. You're sitting down. You're working on your practice to fix the profits in your practice. That's it. You want to do it with us. There's no contracts. There's no any of that. You can do $197 a month if you want. If you want to do the pay in full for a year, I'll tell you what the bonuses are for that. And it's $2,000 a year. It's $1,997 for a year. Okay. Like, don't say I didn't do anything good for you. Okay. All right. So it's less than one of these a day. Okay. This is $5.95 a day. It's less than one cappuccino a day for you to put your practice in a place where it's profitable, in a place where you're not a statistic closing your doors, in a place where you're not a statistic so burned out that you don't even want your practice to grow, where you're no longer in a place where, yes, you're running the practice that is doing $3 million in revenue, but you have to get a locums job to pay your own self. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is for the people the first 100 who join the program. These are the bonuses you get. Okay. You get a 21-point profit audit checklist so that way you can audit your practice by yourself. At any point in time, you can say, okay, these are the problems we're having with our profits in this practice. You get the ideal job ad templates, because this is the number one reason why people don't hire. I have coached physicians for years at this point because they're not really sure what they want the person to do. And when they do hire, they're not happy with the hire because what the person do is not what they want the person to do. Okay. And then on Thursday, on the 12th of December, we're going to do a 7-figure private practice blueprint, whether you're looking to take your practice to the first 7 figures or you're looking to take your practice to the next 7 figures. What does that blueprint look like? What does that roadmap look like? Okay. So that's what you get as a founding member. If you are one of the people who pay in full, and I'll have the team post the link, it's EntreMD.com/movement. If you're one of the people who do the pay in full, you get everything the founding members get, and you get complimentary tickets to EntreMD Live 2025, which is going to be in Atlanta. It's going to be so much fun. We already have people buying tickets and stuff like that. And you get it for $19.97. So you get 2 months free. Okay. So this is the deal. This right here is the beginning of change for everybody. You may not be able to change your entire business today, but you can change your direction today. And that's what the movement is all about. The movement is all about you deciding, okay, I'm good. I'm going to make a change. I'm not going to tell them more excuses. I'm going to build a profitable business. I'm going to build a business that allows me to help a lot of people and to live life on my terms. Okay. That's what you can do. So I want you to meet the team. Okay. Cause this is a team-led thing. So there I am. I'm the strategic director for it, like creating the direction, what the people need to learn about and all of that. Makita is a program director. She's there. She is such a strong physician ally. She's worked with me in every single business that I've owned. She started off as a bank manager at Bank of America. And we've worked together for over a decade at this point. And then there's Dr. Beckford, who's the director of implementation. And she's hardcore at holding everybody accountable. And so your co-working sessions, you're going to get a lot done. Like, I wish I could be to you what she has people do in an hour, right? So that's the team that you would get to work with. And you might be wondering if this is for you. Maybe it's not for everybody, but if you're ready to regain control of your practice, it's for you. If you want proven systems that drive growth, this is for you. If you're committed to creating a practice that supports your dreams, then this is for you. If you want to whine, complain, blame, sit in frustration, all of that, you will hate this because you're going to come and work. Okay. All right. So this is the deal. Take action. There's been a lot of surviving. We don't have to do that anymore. We can thrive. The Profitable Private Practice Movement is for you. EntreMD.com/movement. For less than a cappuccino a day, you can start moving your practice in the right direction, right? In the right direction. And from one step to the other, you end up with a practice that allows you to live the life that you want.